Alright, what is going on, guys? My name is Leon Master. Welcome back to another Overwatch League news video. And today, guys, we actually have a lot to talk about today. We have releases, signings, potential leaks, and we're also going to talk about a leak that has not been official at the end of the video. If you don't know what that is, it's basically Fate to Shanghai Dragons. We're going to talk about that at the very end. But let's go ahead and jump into such a surprising thing that happened today. And if you guys did not see, Philadelphia Fusion has released Ivy, Fury, and Shadow. So their contracts were going to expire in 2 days. It's going to be 1 day when this video is uploaded, but their contracts were going to expire, and I guess they did it early for the Philadelphia Fusion, and they weren't going to re-sign them back, which is absolutely crazy to think about. You know, after they signed Mano, we're going to think they're going to do a Mano Fury tank deal. Wasn't the case anymore. We still have 9K, and a lot of people are starting to worry what's going to happen to Philadelphia Fusion, but I think Philadelphia Fusion is safe. I feel like in the future, there's rumors that they're going to sign some great players, but I'm going to take them as rumors right now. I'm not going to take them as leaks. But I'm obviously going to talk about these guys, what teams they can go to. I did the photoshops for these guys, and just all around, these players being released, absolutely crazy. They were some of the best parts actually on Philadelphia Fusion, especially Fury and Ivy. Ivy did a really good job this season, surprised everyone this season how good he was, and I definitely think he'll take that to a new team he'll go to. And also Fury, he's always been one of the best off tanks in almost every season of the Overwatch League. Season 1 he was insane, Season 2, Season 3 he was still insane when he got to play. And then we have Shadow, who was a great main tank I feel like for the Philadelphia Fusion. I feel like it would be very hard for Shadow to actually adapt to a new team, but I definitely think there is a team that would love to have Shadow, and we're going to get to that shortly. To start off, though, with all three of these players, actually, is one team I have in mind. It's going to make a lot of sense, too, is the Toronto Defiant. I think all three of these players could easily go to the Toronto Defiant. They obviously need them as well. And KDG is coaching the Toronto Defiant as well. And apparently these players love KDG's coaching style, so I would not be surprised if Toronto Defiant did sign these players. And even the owner of Toronto Defiant has even said they want a 2-year kind of plan. They want to dominate for at least 2 years and build on top of that every year, it feels like. So they want to win this year, or at least be better than they have been these past couple of seasons for the Toronto Defiant. So I definitely think Shadow would be a great fit for this team, and also if he was beside Fury as well, so you have that great tank synergy that you've had in Philadelphia Fusion under KDG once again. Then you have Ivy, who has been a great flex DPS player for Philadelphia Fusion last season. It was rough for him in Season 2, which is funny because he played for Toronto Defiant in Season 2. Will he come back for Season 3? That's where I get a little bit in the middle. I don't know if he will go back to Toronto Defiant, but I think he also knows it's almost a full new team. Obviously, there's Logix. I think Logix and Ivy were playing at the same time back in Season 2. And you have KDG, basically a whole new staff, or at least a brand new head coach that will be better for the Toronto Defiant this season. And Ivy may still take the leap to go to Toronto Defiant, maybe not. But hearing an Ivy Logix duo does sound pretty solid. I don't know if it's going to be insane, but it's definitely going to be solid. Also, Shadow and Fury, if that is going to be the case with KDG coaching once again, and maybe even some more coaches coming in throughout the Toronto Defiant offseason. But when it comes to other teams, I would not be surprised if these players went to. I am going to start with Ivy because that's still in the middle. I don't know if he will go to Toronto Defiant or not. I wrote down NYXL as one of them as well. I would not be surprised after the most recent leak with NYXL signing Yakpung. They may go on a somewhat budget, I feel like. Not a super low budget, but at least on a budget. They have Yakpung. They released many players, and they have Libero, and historically, they always sign, or at least try to find, a flex DPS better than Libero, and it ends up not really pulling out all the time. You know, they had Who Are You, who they thought was going to start a lot of the time. Libero was still better at points when he did come in. I would not be surprised if NYXL tried to sign Ivy on top of that. And also, Ivy played with Yakpung back in Toronto Defiant. And then also, it just kind of leads on what more is going to happen in NYXL's offseason. It's kind of in the question mark right now when it comes to NYXL. So I honestly would not be surprised if Ivy did go to the NYXL. He would definitely fit that team, I feel like, and maybe he would actually get starting time over Libero and even be better than Libero. But it all depends on the staff that they'll get and more players for the team. Maybe NYXL will sign Fury, and I'll talk about that later as well. And to the other team I wrote down for Ivy, and I love to see this one come true as well, it is the SF Shock. I feel like Krusty can make Ivy even a superstar of a flex DPS player. Even though he was really good last season, I feel like he can make him even better. That every team will want Ivy the next season after that if they are going to get rid of him. Obviously, I don't know if this is going to be the case. They still have Tayo and maybe even a new flex DPS coming in. There's a lot of options for them to go on to. They may want to go on a little bit of the cheaper side when it comes to flex DPS, but maybe Ivy will still be the one. I feel like Ivy could fit really well with the DPS and the tanks on SF Shock, and also Krusty and that team in general will really help Ivy become even better of a flex DPS. I would love to see Ivy on the Shock. Now on to Shadow, and it was honestly really hard to find a team for Shadow. I feel like Shadow is one of those players that he really only fits on that certain team, and that certain team was Philadelphia Fusion. You had the coaching staff around him, you had the players around them really fit his play style, and now that he's gone, there may be a situation where it's kind of like Season 2, where things may not add up right for Sato the next season. But I did write down the team. Obviously, I talked about Toronto Defiant already, and I think that will be the team, honestly, is Toronto Defiant. But I wrote down another one is Florida Mayhem. They no longer have Fate, so they still need a main tank. I definitely think the two main tanks that come to mind for Florida Mayhem is going to be OG or Sato, maybe another one in Contenders for sure. But I think Sato could potentially fit this team. Florida's a pretty aggressive team all around. You have Gargoyles is really great. Can probably play really well besides Sato. You also have their support lines could be good as well with Gangnam Jin. I definitely think Sato, out of all the teams, may fit the Florida Mayhem, but I'm really thinking it's going to be a Toronto Defiant, honestly, depending on how everything works out with KDG and all that. I definitely think it's going to be hard for Sato to find a team. And a team that's popped up in my head right now, the Guangzhou Charge, I don't know if that will be the case, though. But it's going to be very hard for Sato to find a team this season, which that may be a hot take, but if we look at historically with Sato in Season 2, it's going to be rough. Season 3 was obviously great for them, but they really built around Sato for Season 3. Will that be the case for his next season? Who knows? Now it's a Fury, and I honestly think there's endless possibilities for Fury to go to. There's so many teams I would probably love to have Fury right now, even teams no one would expect that already have great off-tanks, and maybe they'll still will take Fury. Who knows? But I did write two teams down. Obviously, Toronto Defiant's still one of them, but I wrote down Seoul Dynasty as one of them. We still don't know what their whole tank issue is going to be. They obviously re-signed Marvel and Gesture. I can't remember if they did anything with 2U just yet, so if they maybe fully promote 2U, I may not see this happen, but if 2U is going to stay on a two-way, I could love to see Fury go in the Seoul Dynasty. You definitely upgrade that off-tank position by a lot. We would not have to worry on the off-tank position for the Seoul Dynasty with Marvel, playing Diva at some points or playing Sigma majority of the time. Fury can play all of it and maybe even some main tanks on the side if that was needed for a certain meta. Fury could fit the Seoul Dynasty, and I definitely think he will, beside even Gesture. And also bring more synergy back with the Glenna Spitfire. You have Prophet, Gesture, Fury. This could fit really well. Now on to another team I wrote down. It is the NYXL. Like I said already, when I talked about Ivy, they have no off-tank right now, and I definitely think Fury would be probably on the more expensive side. Maybe not anymore now that Fury's not on the team, but Fury on the NYXL, playing beside Yakpung could work, and also maybe if Ivy's fine at NYXL. Big ifs, by the way, not saying this is confirmed. But Fury to the NYXL, I could really see this fit if everything works out for this team. It would depend on how they're going to build this season. They still haven't confirmed Yakpung just yet, so we don't know if that is going to be the main tank. We need to see more of NYXL's offseason so far throughout the season before we say anything about them going on a budget or not. But everything's really up in the air when it comes to NYXL right now. But are they going on budget? Are they not? Are they trying to do a full revamp on the team no one would expect and it would do good? Who knows? Yakpung so far is really leaving a lot of question marks. Obviously, Yakpung was great in Contenders. In Overwatch League, not so much, but Contenders is the most recent thing. But I'm just going to end the NYXL conversation there because we can go on and on about it. Now into something that really surprised me when I opened up Twitter a couple hours ago actually was Guangzhou Charge has signed Mandu as their new main support. Obviously, Mandu was benched all season long in NYXL, which is really unfortunate because Mandu is definitely starting worthy of a player, and now he's going to get his time to shine on the Guangzhou Charge, and I'm so excited to see how this turns out, and he's going to play beside Kariv as well. It's going to be a great support duo for sure. I'll just see how this works out with the Guangzhou Charge. Obviously, Arachne's been doing great jobs on SF Shock, and I definitely think he'll do a great job on the Guangzhou Charge, especially after the moves that he's somewhat making right now. Still up in the air on how everything's going to turn out for this team, but the support line right now that he has built, or the team has built in general, is looking really good. I definitely think Mandu is an obvious upgrade over Chara in the past. Kariv, I definitely think he's a great replacement for Shu. This could be potentially a really good, if not the best support duo Guangzhou Charge has ever had right now, but obviously there's only been one, and this is going to be their second. I definitely think this one has the potential to be really good, if not one of the better or best next season. Now we're going to move on to a leak from Halo of Thoughts, and he actually comes in with an off-tank for the Hangzhou Spark, and he says, according to Spark, Team CC off-tank Lige has supposedly been signed to the Hangzhou Spark. Now this one's definitely surprising after how Gaga has been leaked to join the Chengdu Hunters. A lot of people wanted Lige to join him as well in the Chengdu Hunters, but if the leak is true of him going to the Hangzhou Spark, very weird, and this also leaves conversations what's going to happen with QOQ. I definitely think this is kind of strange to hear as well. Lige has been one of the better off-tanks also in Chinese Contenders. He can play almost every off-tank at a high level, especially his Sigma has been really good and his Diva. But like I said already, where does this leave with QOQ if this is true? Because I definitely think QOQ was solid last season, but also what comes to mind, maybe there was a language barrier between QOQ and Guzhui, and they also want to get another Chinese off-tank beside Guzhui, so there was probably no language barrier, and they probably got the best one they could have gotten from Team CC was Lige, and maybe Guzhui and Lige will be a really good tank duo next season if this is the case, and I definitely think it will be because there's no language barriers for the tanks, and maybe that was a big issue for QOQ and Guangzhou. Now this also leaves the conversation, where's QOQ going to go if this is true? I didn't really write anything down for QOQ, but I definitely think QOQ has many options, and there's many opportunities for QOQ to go to for certain teams if they don't really find anyone just yet. Maybe LA Valiant comes to mind if he wants to go to a mixed roster. It all depends on how things really want to work out with QOQ and how teams want to probably sign him. But that's all I really have to say of Lige. I have not watched him a lot, but I do just know from research, public opinion, he's one of the better off tanks, and he also plays all the off tanks at a super high level, and that's all I had to say about him. But I have seen a lot of people, also myself as well. This is very interesting to see what happens with QOQ in Liga. Now to something that is now official, that was leaked numerous times, is the Shanghai Dragons has signed Fate to their team, and this is true. It has happened, and I'm very surprised, but also not at the same time. You know, we were looking for a super good replacement for Fearless on the Shanghai Dragons, and they got Fate, which obviously is not as high as a player as Fearless was. Fearless was really dominant throughout Season 3, and Fate was probably right below that a little bit, not a lot, but kind of right below the S tier of players that Shanghai Dragons, just the league in general, had that were all on the top level. Fate comes into the Shanghai Dragons, and this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because like I said, Fearless, Fate, completely different players, but Fate also has had a lot of experience under Moon from LA Valiant, and also just the past in general. And I definitely think Moon, now that he's in a new environment, now that it's almost a brand new team for Fate once again, I think Fate could probably get close to levels like Fearless, but I definitely think it'll be very hard for them. Maybe he will be as good, if not better than Fearless, but we'll need to see how this plays out with Fate later on as the season goes on. There'll be more signings for Fate, our coaching staff, and we'll need to see how this goes on. Alright, that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to stay more in tune with Overwatch League news and Overwatch League stuff in general, don't forget to subscribe down below. And also, if you guys want to join my Discord, it's also down below as well. And don't forget to follow my Twitter and my Twitch. And don't forget to hit that bell. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.